Good morning, Faith Community. You know, I love living in the Antelope Valley. I know it's not for everyone, but one of the things that I've discovered is a lot of people don't know about the hidden treasures in the Antelope Valley. One of the things I like to do is take friends out on hikes or go for trail runs. And within about 20 minutes of my front door, I can be on trails in the mountains that surround the Antelope Valley. And in those mountains, I've found streams and waterfalls. I've found meadows filled up with wildflowers. And I'll take my friends out on these runs and I'll show them these places that they didn't know existed, that they didn't know were so close to home. I find delight in finding these little hidden places that maybe only runners and hikers know about right here in the Antelope Valley. In a way, God's word is the same way. I think a lot of people, they stand back and they look at it and they think, there's not a lot there or it's not really enjoyable. To them, it looks like a barren landscape. But as you dive down into it and as you begin to explore, you discover this: God's word is a delight. It says this in Psalm 119, verse 16. The psalmist writes, "I will delight in your statutes. I will not forget your word." Do you know God's word is a delight? And here's the thing. It's not just a delight for those who love to read. You don't have to be a voracious reader to love God's word. Something that I find is that everybody loves to read a message that's written to them personally, that has application in their life, that is going to give them information that they see as essential. It doesn't matter if you're a reader or not. If the text that you have in front of you has personal value for you, you're going to delight in it. I want to challenge you in the year 2021 to take delight in God's word, to dig deep into it, to find those hidden paths, those valleys and meadows and waterfalls and streams that delight your soul in God's word. My challenge to you is to learn what it says so that you can delight in its message. The psalmist goes on in Psalm 119. He says this in verse 14. He says, "I rejoice in the way revealed by your decrees as much as in all riches." He says, as I'm reading, it's revealing God's ways to me. And what happens? He rejoices in that. Verse 24, he says, "Your decrees are my delight and my counselors." Verse 35, "Help me stay on the path of your commands, for I take pleasure in it." Verse 47, "I delight in your commands, which I love." Verse 70, "I delight in your instruction." Verse 77, "Your instruction is my delight." Verse 92, if your instruction had not been my delight, I would have died in my affliction." Verse 103, "How sweet your word is to my taste, sweeter than honey in my mouth." God's word is sweet. It is a delight. Learn to delight in God's word by spending time in it. Make a decision today that you're going to take up God's word in the coming year. You're going to read it. You're going to dig deep, and you're going to find treasures sweeter than honey. Thank you so much for listening to me today.